In the foyer of a hotel, a man named Sun Woo is eating. He is the right-hand guy of a gangster boss and is in charge of security at his boss's hotel. A waitress approaches him a short while later. The waiter informs him that there is an issue that he must resolve in the hotel's VIP club. Sun Woo runs to the room, where he discovers some thugs who refuse to leave the hotel despite the fact that the hotel's club hours had passed. Sun Woo then requests that they leave the room immediately, but the thugs refuse to comply. Sun Woo, with the help of his subordinate Min Ji-I, ended up physically beating them up in order to chase them away. Sun Woo meets with his boss, Mr. Kong, the following day. Sun Woo's loyalty and dependability make the latter exceedingly proud. Mr. Kong then inquires about the incident the night before, to which Sun Woo responds that it has already been resolved. Mr. Kong then claims that the goons were Mr. Beck's men, their rival mafia, but Mr. Kong is unconcerned since he believes Sun Woo is always trustworthy. After some time, a man named Moon Suk appears and joins them for dinner. Moon Suk, like Sun Woo, is Mr. Kang's right-hand man. Moon Suk is instantly ejected by Mr. Kong due to his harsh behavior. After revealing to Sun Woo that he is close to a young girl, Mr. Kong requests that Sun Woo keep an eye on the girl while he is in Shanghai. Mr. Kong seems to love his fiancée so much that he worries she is cheating on him by dating another man. When it becomes clear that his lover is actually seeing another man, Mr. Kong orders Sun Woo to kill her. Mr. Kong explains that because he doesn't like being lied to, Sun Woo is to kill both his girlfriend and the man she is dating. Sun Woo is shocked to hear Mr. Kang's comments. Later, Sun Woo brings a gift to Mr. Kang's girlfriend and visits her home. The girl, who goes by the name of Hee-soo, receives the gift from him next. Hee-soo then finds a bed lamp inside the gift and looks overjoyed to receive it. Then someone calls Hee-soo, and Hee-soo answers the phone and prepares to leave her home. Hee-soo replies that she will go out on her own rather than being driven and requests that Sun Woo depart. Sun Woo then claims that Mr. Kong asked him to drive Hee-soo. Sun Woo then hands Hee-soo his business card and requests that she phone him in case she requires assistance. Sun Woo is secretly tagging along with Hee-soo wherever she goes. As directed by Mr. Kong, Sun Woo keeps a watch on everything Hee-soo does from a distance. Sun Woo meets with Moon Suk at Mr. Kang's hotel after spending the day watching Hee-soo. The gang leader of the thugs that Sun Woo previously beat up, according to Moon Suk, keeps getting in touch with him and pressuring Sun Woo to visit him. The gang leader calls Moon Suk again at the same moment, but Moon Suk declines to answer because Sun Woo is the person the gang leader is looking for. Sun Woo then picks up the phone and informs the gang boss that if he wants to meet him, he should come to him personally, else he won't come to see him. Sun Woo then cuts off the conversation before the gang boss has a chance to speak. In another scene, we witness Mr. Beck, the alleged gang leader, beating up one of his men for ridiculing him when Sun Woo hung up on him and refused to come meet him. Sun Woo is surprised by the sound of the phone ringing the following day. Hee-soo's call came in. He is invited to see Hee-soo as soon as possible. The two eventually cross paths and converse while eating a dinner together. Sun Woo replies that he works at Mr. Kang's hotel in response to Hee-soo's next question about his occupation. Hee-soo then asserts that Sun Woo is a frightening individual based on the information she learned from Mr. Kong. In response to Hee-soo's assertion, Sun Woo asserts that he is not as frightening as Hee-soo believes. Sun Woo then drives Hee-soo to her music lesson, where Hee-soo extends an invitation to Sun Woo to attend if he wants to see her play the cello in class. Sun Woo accepts the request. Sun Woo pauses to listen to the music Hee-soo and her friends are playing. Min Ji-I then contacts Sun Woo and begs him to return to the hotel since someone is expecting him. When Sun Woo arrives at the hotel, he discovers that the person waiting for him is none other than Mr. Beck, who wishes for Sun Woo to apologize to him. Sun Woo, who felt he was innocent, refused to apologize and went out to pick up Hee-soo. Hee-soo, on the other hand, had supposedly called her lover and asked him to drive her home. Sun Woo follows Hee-soo and her lover all the way to Hee-soo's front door in the dark. Sun Woo decided to return to his flat after witnessing her boyfriend leave. Sun Woo was nearly hit while on his way by someone who appeared to be in a hurry. Sun Woo realized a few moments later that the car that almost hit him earlier was Hee-soo's boyfriend's car. Sun Woo suspects that the man is returning to Hee-soo's residence and intends to return there to confirm it. Sun Woo's intuition was correct. The man was back at Hee-soo's residence. He goes inside silently, and when Hee-soo discovers Sun Woo's entrance, she appears surprised. Sun Woo beats up the man without hesitation, and when Sun Woo is about to kill him, Hee-soo tries to stop him. Sun Woo then intends to report the event to Mr. Kong, but his plans are thwarted when he encounters Hee Soo, who is crying and looks terrified. Sun Woo ultimately opted not to alert Mr. Kong because he believed that if Mr. Kong knew about the incident, he would order him to kill Hee Soo and her lover. Sun Woo then instructs them not to meet each other again and to end their relationship immediately, or else he will do what he has to do. Sun Woo then returns to his flat, becoming irritated once more since some punks are pestering him. Sun Woo ultimately gets the upper hand on the punks, then beats all of them. Sun Woo arrives to his apartment's parking lot as the story progresses. A man claiming to be Oh Moo-sung approaches Sun Woo and demands that he apologize to Mr. Beck. If Sun Woo refuses, Mr. Beck will do something dreadful to him. Sun Woo doesn't seem scared at all when he hears the threat and promptly sends the man away. Mr. Kong returns from his trip to Shanghai the next day and goes straight to Hee Soo's house. Mr. Kong wonders what's going on as he arrives at Hee Soo's house and notices Hee Soo looking apprehensive. Hee Soo responds that she is okay and that she wants to discontinue her connection with Mr. Kong. The scene then shifts to Sun Woo, who is daydreaming and fiddling with the lights in his flat, continuously switching them on and off. In the midst of his daydream, he is startled when a bunch of people bursts into his flat and begins beating him up. Those individuals were Mr. Beck's men. Sun Woo is abducted and brought to Mr. Beck's base. He was tortured horribly there. Mr. Beck truly wanted to kill Sun Woo, but Mr. Kong was willing to ask him to let him go. Sun Woo was then dumped on the side of the road, and Moon Suk and some of Mr. Kang's men arrive. Mr. Kong phones Moon Suk and requests that he hand over his phone to Sun Woo. Mr. Kong then inquires as to why Sun Woo did not report on Hee Soo and her boyfriend. Mr. Kong, it turns out, already knew everything. Sun Woo then tells him that he beat up the person and that he will not see Hee Soo again. Sun Woo believed that what he did was the best solution to the problem. Mr. Kong inquires once more if Sun Woo's failure to report to him was due to Sun Woo's affections for Hee Soo and his fear that Hee Soo would be slain. Sun Woo simply remains silent after hearing Mr. Kang's statements. Finally, Mr. Kong instructs Moon Suk to torture Sun Woo, and Moon Suk gladly follows out the order. When Moon Suk has had enough of abusing Sun Woo, he takes him to a warehouse and instructs him to contact Mr. Kong. Moon Suk is unsure if Mr. Kong wants Sun Woo dead or alive. Sun Woo then pretends to call Mr. Kong before fighting back and defeating Moon Suk and everyone else. Sun Woo eventually managed to flee. Mr. Kong became increasingly enraged after learning of Sun Woo's escape and resolved to kill him as well. Sun Woo travels to see one of his most devoted subordinates, Min Ji-ai, the next morning. Sun Woo warns Min Ji-ai to leave Mr. Kang's gang because he intends to massacre them all. Sun Woo travels to a group of gun dealers a few days later to buy some firearms. Unfortunately, they inform him that purchasing a pistol from them is complicated since he must have a personal guarantor, such as a gang leader or another prominent person. Sun Woo then claims to be the right-hand man of a prominent gang leader, and that he came here on his boss's orders. Sun Woo is eventually brought in front of their supervisor. The arms dealer boss inquires as to which gang Sun Woo belongs to, and Sun Woo responds that he is a member of a mafia leader named Han. Sun Woo passes over his business card in order to gain the man's trust. Sun Woo is ready to receive the pistol he purchased when the boss begs him to wait because he needs to call Sun Woo's boss to confirm if Sun Woo is truly his guy. When the phone connection is connected, the mafia boss is taken aback to discover that Sun Woo is not boss Han's guy. Sun Woo kills off the arms dealer and his guys in the blink of an eye, knowing his cover has been blown. A man named Tae-gu, the guns dealer boss's younger brother, arrives moments after Sun Woo kills the arms dealer and his men, and he is stunned to discover his brother dead. Tae-gu then discovers Sun Woo's business card, which had been put there, and learns from it that someone named Sun Woo murdered his brother. Sun Woo then pays a visit to one of Mr. Beck's men, Oh Moo-sung. Sun Woo puts a gun at Moo-sung and demands to know where Mr. Beck is. Sun Woo goes to an ice rink to meet Mr. Beck after obtaining information regarding his whereabouts. Sun Woo tells Mr. Kong that he would kill the man first before dealing with Mr. Kong. Mr. Beck expressly apologizes to Sun Woo and tells him to forget the past. When Sun Woo was caught off guard, Mr. Beck pulled a knife from his pocket and stabbed him. He had no idea Sun Woo had a gun in his bag. Sun Woo drew his gun and shot him. Sun Woo intends to go straight to Mr. Kong after killing Mr. Beck, despite his injured stomach. Before he arrives, Sun Woo phones Mr. Kong and informs him that he has been interacting with the wrong person. Mr. Kong, terrified by Sun Woo's threats, tells all of his men to be ready, including his right-hand man, Moon Suk. Sun Woo is soon in front of Mr. Kang's hotel, and as he enters the hotel, he simply murders Mr. Kang's soldiers who try to obstruct him. Sun Woo then approaches Moon Suk, who pulls out a knife to fight Sun Woo, but Sun Woo, who is armed with a gun, kills him without explanation. Sun Woo then rushes over to Mr. Kang, who is being guarded by several of his men. When one of Mr. Kang's men tries to attack Sun Woo shoots him dead. Sun Woo then inquires, why did Mr. Kang do all of this to him when he was always loyal to him and took care of everything? Sun Woo continues to convey his dissatisfaction with Mr. Kang for abandoning him like a dog over a small problem. Mr. Kang then asks Sun Woo whether he likes Hee-soo, and Sun Woo responds that even if he does, it never occurred to him to steal her from Mr. Kang. Sun Woo also claims to have been Mr. Kang's most loyal and reliable servant, but no longer is. Mr. Kang perished at the hands of Sun Woo, and at the same time, some of Mr. Beck's men stormed in and shot Sun Woo. Sun Woo collapses, and those guys believe he is dead, but this is not the case. Sun Woo rises again and shoots everyone. Sun Woo is also wounded as a result of being shot during the intense shootout. Tae-gu, the arms dealer boss's younger brother, enters seconds later and takes all the remaining survivors. Tae-gu then approaches Sun Woo, who is severely paralyzed. Sun Woo imagines Hee-soo playing her cello at the end of his breath. He recalls that it was the only time he could smile and feel happy. Tae-gu shoots Sun Woo and kills him.